bones, too close to home, it's too near the bone, more than you ever.
Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Goes to the Library. I'm your host, Shaun, and with me, as almost always when I do Goes to the Library, is Big Paul, because Big Paul's kind of our bookworm. Manga experts, comic book experts, reader of lots, or listener of lots of books, because you will pick some random ass books.
I will, yeah.
I mean, because you're just like scrolling that Audible thing, and you're just like, dude, I got a credit. Let's roll.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually, once again, have brought us another thing to talk about. We're going to be talking about Lou Perez's book, That Joke Isn't Funny Anymore, about the death and rebirth of comedy. So we're going to be diving into that this evening. So, Paul.
Yes, Shaun.
Now, you knew, I knew who Lou Perez was, but I didn't remember until, I think you might have even introduced me to him. Because when I actually recognized him, it was because he wears that hat and his glasses when he does the like TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know that fucking face, and he does a lot of funny things. I think I even already had followed him on Twitter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought this, so were you actually anticipating this? Were you waiting for it? Did you get that pre-order in, or was it something you stumbled across and you were like, I like Lou Perez, I'm going to read this?
Well, for one, let me get it off my chest. I would have put a pre-order in if you followed me back on X, but he didn't. So I got it when I remembered to get it. So
wow.
I got the Audible. Support my dude. But
I'm telling you, Lou, listen, you got to treat the fans right.
You got to treat the fans.
If you don't treat them right, they ain't gonna buy no books.
Yeah, and also too, Lou, listen, big fan. Sometimes I get some free time and. Let me make your shorts, man. Let me make your shorts. Just go on ZooBucks. Look at the shorts portfolio, okay? We create so every now and then. We get some bangers in there, man. But let me do some shorts for you, Lou. Let me do some shorts, and we'll see if you don't like it. Post it. Fine. I mean, but just let me do some shorts for you. That's all I'm going to say.
Paul,
okay.
Yeah, because Paul did the bulk of the shorts, Lou. I mean, you're probably going to like a few of them. Those are probably the ones I made. But Paul did make a lot of them. Actually, yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I made a short on one of his. It was like the tweet of the day for me that he did. It was like, maybe women would be better at chess if they spent more time being autistic and homeless.
Actually, I saw one. I saw one from him the other day. That was a video. He's like, "Listen, guys, we got to get serious." He's like, "The N-word is for black people and racists.
The only people who are allowed to use the N-word are black people and racists. That's their word. If you're neither black nor racist, you can't use the word. So stop it."
Not for you. So if you're not black and you're not racist, sorry. It was pretty good.
No, he's right there. But I knew him from We the Internet. So that was 6, maybe almost 7 years now at this point.
My God, dude, we are such fools.
Yeah.
We literally had something called. Actually, wasn't it called?
This Week on the Internet.
This Week on Internet. That's right.
Yeah, we're talking about. We want to do like a parody, like old timey, like Orson Welles-esque, like fucking like radio thing. This Week on the Internet, and then just kind of like.
I made the intro.
You're right.
On this episode, Jared takes your kids out for a footlong. Babyface hipsters want to shave. New Zealand wants to send your dickhead kids to jail. And Bill Cosby gets rude with lewds. All this and so much more on This Week in Internet.
Do a whole spiel on it, but we're bums, and they basically the punchline. I can't hate on that. I liked it, but at the same time, it stole that thunder. I'm like, Fair enough. But yeah, no, I've been following with that, and I've always appreciated that, like the style, both you and I, we've loved sketch comedy
we did
ever since we were little kids, and even at like a local school, whatever we did,
Paul even had his own sketch program that he did for the church community, I guess, that you were involved with, and it was really good. It was really funny, and I was always super impressed by that because you had put it all together, you coordinated it, you had written most of everything. You got the actors together. So I'm just saying, Lou, he's worth a follow, at least.
But he brings all that in there, and like I appreciate somebody that just fucking like it goes for it. Everything, not every like WTI like sketch like landed for me. Whatever, you're not gonna make everyone happy, but like he always, I never felt any inauthenticity like with it. So I've always been a big fan of his work wholesale. Like whether I thought it was like the best or not, like I just there's always this like genuine sense of authenticity with him. So I've been following him for a while, like in that regard. And then when I got on Twitter, now X, I was following him on that, and he's just been he posts some bangers, and I like it too. And then eventually I saw him, like I'm like, oh shit, he has a book out. No kidding. Let me see if it's on Audible.
This guy writes too?
I was like, oh shit, yeah, oh my god, if I didn't want to freaking like jerk off Lou already, man, holy shit, he's an author. He's an author now. So like, I checked it out, and it's just one of those things. Like I drive all the time.
Yes.
And you said I'm an Audible junkie. I'm like, oh god, I wonder if there's an Audible. And I got the Audible, and then I was like, oh sweet, he narrates it as well. That's even better, because I have this thing where, like we've talked about this in other episodes of Goes to the Library, where the narrator could really make or break something.
Oh, for sure.
Whatnot. But also, if you're going to read like something, you just want to hear it like from the author.
Especially something like this. It's paramount because the jokes and the timing. It has to be
exactly. So I was really stoked that he narrated it as well. And I listened to it about 2.5 times as well, and too. So really. The second time is just to like revisit everything that he touched on too for this conversation. But generally, I enjoyed it to kind of get in. I wanted to like share it with you and kind of talk about it, because this guy, what I appreciate about the book, we'll get into like what the book is, and if you didn't read the book, we're going to. Well, it's not really spoilers.
We're going to spoil it, but it's not really a book you spoil. It's because you're kind of reading it for the experience of reading it, and because essentially what Lou Perez does is he breaks down the past about 10 years of his life to one degree or another in the comedy scene, and kind of excavating when did it shift, when did it start to change, what were the effects of that, can we come back from it, etc.
Right. And one thing I'll say about the book before we get into the book that I found out is that he was part of like the Upright Citizens Brigade, which was another childhood staple of us.
Yeah, that was a big. I mean, the Comedy Central Upright Citizens Brigade sketch show was when we found that we were like we were home. We actually went to my house. I went to Newberry Comics.
Baby.
And we bought it, and we came back to my house, my parents' house. And then we watched the entire first season, I think twice in one night.
Yeah.
That's how much we liked it. Yeah.
Great. Here's what you do. Go to the bank today. Get yourself $50 in pennies. Stick them all up your ass. Oh, one at a time, of course.
Hook, line, and sinker, man. We were hooked on that. I think it's like for us in terms of like comedic influences. Yeah, like Norm Macdonald, and then there's like UCB. Like that was shit. And then so it was really cool. This guy that I felt like like I said earlier, like genuine, just delivers whether you like it or not, like it's genuine. And the fact that he was like part of that, and that was also an influence too. It just felt kind of like, well, that checks out. That checks out because he likes what I like. So obviously,
obviously,
this is good.
And if people don't know, like this, there's the sketch show, the UCB Upright Citizens Brigade, but it's also an improv troupe, and there's a few of them. They're in like major cities. New York, LA has one. It's kind of a different version of like say the Groundlings, if you're familiar with the Groundlings, which is where a lot of SNL cast members have come from in the past. The Groundlings is basically Chicago's like UCB. And it was founded by Amy Poehler and Matt Walsh and Ian something or other, and then another guy named Matt. I'm forgetting their names, so I apologize, but he wasn't on the sketch show. I just wanted to make it clear. He was not from the 90s sketch show that we watched as kids.
Right.
He was part of the theater group, and there's an anecdote in the book about it, actually, about him meeting Amy Poehler.
Absolutely. But that's something future Shaun can do. You can cut this out and then put like, oh yeah, it's a sickly. Yeah, this was the original.
This is going up raw. It's going up raw.
It's going up raw. Yeah,
It's a raw dumped video.
Going full O'Reilly, buddy. We're going live. We're going live.
Let's
You
do
already
it
hit the
live.
record button. It's happening. But yeah, man. So I was like really pumped with this. Been following this. I'm like, all right, let's check out this book. I bought the Audible and like let it rip and shared it with you. So now here we are, man. Here we are. And and here's the thing, I didn't read any. I'm like I didn't read anything about it. Like a synopsis, like what's this book is going to be about. So having following this guy, knowing he's a comic. Everything I didn't look into anything at all. It's other than the fact that I like this dude, and then he has a book that's available in Audible, and I got it, so I didn't know what to expect. And then I listened to it. And what would you say this book is about?
Listen, Paul is selling books for you, Lou. Like he secured a purchase from me. Okay, if that's not worth a follow, at least a follow. What do I think it's about? I like kind of what I had said before. I think it's kind of like he covers the first 10 years, or not the first 10 years, but like about a 10-year gap going through kind of the Obama years into Trump, into COVID, and then now kind of in Me Too a little bit, and then coming out of it on the other side. I actually even watched a debate with him between him and Michael Ian Black, which I begrudgingly have to admit, Michael Ian Black was very funny. Mm-hmm. Actually, you know what? Michael Ian Black is another comedy person that we grew up liking because we liked The State, we liked Viva Variety, we liked Reno, we liked Stella. We were big fans of Stella.
Yep.
So just to prove to everybody our sketch comedy bona fides, our street cred. And I think that's kind of what it's about, and him trying to give his personal experience with it and why he kind of thinks the way he does about some of the things that have happened. I would say this, I think it's more of, it's like an overview. Like it's not a very long book. It's written well. It's very entertaining. And like, in the way that like a podcast is entertaining. Does that sound, I hope that doesn't sound like a slight. Cause I think it's well written, and it's like basically every chapter is in some form of essay that you could read in a vacuum. Like you could read some of these things totally in a vacuum and it would be fine. It would be like, cause he's also a writer and he contributes to some internet blogs, etc. I think he has some involvement with, is it the Heritage Foundation? I could be getting that wrong. So don't pillar me if he did, but
no, he's a libtard. So probably wouldn't be the Heritage Foundation.
Well, he's not completely libtarded. He's a libertarian tarded, which is a little different.
Well, he's trying to take it back. See, I'm supporting him, so he knows that I read it and that he'll follow me back on X. He's a libtard, but continue.
He's a libtard. Okay.
Continue. My bad.
My apologies. I did not listen as closely as Paul. I listened to it twice. Okay. So I didn't do 2.5 like Paul. Again, you should follow him. Yeah, but I think that's kind of what it's about. And it doesn't really get into it doesn't get anything super deep. I feel like the most prescient stuff was the stuff where he talked about identity. And he talked about kind of his upbringing, his father, what that meant to him, what that's meant to his life. Then he kind of gets into the problem with the poo, that documentary that came out, and kind of excavating how wokeness or how woke culture has shifted things, and how we are now using kind of the social mores of the moment and looking back at the past and judging things unfairly. I mean, he gets into the Simpsons stuff isn't just about a poo. It's also, he brings up like the Mexican bee, like, well, why isn't that offensive? And about this idea that like chasing the moment in comedy is a mistake.
Right.
You cannot be chasing, you cannot be worried about who you're going to offend, etc. You got to be able to take chances. Comedy is supposed to be cathartic. It's supposed to be liberating. And it's supposed to, and that's kind of what's important about it as an institution, I think, especially because you can take very serious, dark things and get people to laugh about it, and it's a bonding experience for people because it lets everybody know, like, oh, I'm not the only one that thinks like this, or has thought like this or has problems with these things or whatever. Like, and it's like it feels good. That's what I've always really enjoyed about comedy, and that's what's been such a bummer about the past like 6 or 7 years of stand up.
Yeah.
It's all neutered or a lecture, and it's all kind of awful. Even the bigger comedians have kind of lost their edge in a way. Yeah. And they're and it's like, I mean, I watched like the last Chris Rock special. It was so bad. Mm-hmm. It was so fucking bad. Like, I had to listen to a 40-minute rant about how he likes to pay for abortions. I'm like, okay, good for you. I'm so rich, I like to pay for them. I don't like to use condoms, so I just pay for abortions. I pay for my daughter's abortion. You're like, oh, this is great. This is great comedy. Thank you, Chris Rock. Thank you for because he wasn't trying to make it funny. He was just yelling out facts about his life. At least in my opinion. I'm sure other people would disagree.
You know, I missed that one. I missed that one.
It's not worth watching.
I'll queue it up for later. But you know, to me, it was kind of reminiscent to. And this is not a slight either, but like, you know, remember there's in the early 2000s, there's a lot of like, you know, punk rock documentaries, right?
Yes.
And then
we watched them all.
Yeah, we watched them all. And where they were just like the people, whether it was like, you know, a bass player at this like very obscure band, or you know, somebody over here like with this group, or a promoter there, they're all speaking with some sense of like, you know, authority and like, and providing the nitty gritty context of the scene, right, to support that documentary. And they always spoke with this like deep sense of like importance to try to like articulate, you know, this narrative of whatever that scene was, whether it's like, you know, Black Flag or like one of the gazillion Pixies, fucking like, you know,
this was the moment music changed, and they're very precious about
everything. This changed everything, right? And so I thought, like, again, I'm like, oh boy, I'm like, this is like, what's it going to talk to? Because like I don't, because like I said, like everything kind of like every chapter could be read in the back, could stand on its own, and like, and I appreciate it, I do like that, but I was just thinking. His initial like getting into this book, he's like, you know, if if there was an obituary, you know, then the time of death would have been, you know, like, you know, 2015, right? And just starting off that, and I just remember thinking, like, oh man, like this is going to be, he's going to like tread in some waters here. Like this is. I was really worried. I'm like, is this going to turn into like an absolute fucking cringe fest where he's going to, you know, speak on behalf of comedians or like just something on there. But I thought he did, like, from somebody that, you know, spent his entire adult life to this point to the craft and to pursuing, and then and paying homage to a lot of mutual idols that you and I have like growing up, right? To kind of just really talk about his disdain for the current state of affairs of, like, you know, his passion project, you know, like I would argue too, like, you know, our passion as well, and like what a fucking bummer that is. And I think he did a very nice way of driving that conversation without getting too preachy. I was always, as I was listening to it, oh man, is he gonna, but no, but he tied it back, and then he, like, good.
Well, because he doesn't attack people. And he doesn't, like, he's not dressing anybody down, but he is also, I will say something that I really appreciated it. He's also not afraid to make a joke at their expense because they're hypocrites.
Right.
So whether it was like the guy who made the Problem with the Pooh documentary, or Lin-Manuel Miranda, is that his name? Mm-hmm. The guy who did Hamilton. Mm-hmm. You know, and watching what happens to those guys, like, they think they're serving the machine and they think they're part of it, and they're part of this woke moment, and they get eaten alive by their own people, or their effects are so detrimental. In the case of Apu, which is the character, like, just disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they're like, why would we want to deal with that?
Right, right. But then I was thinking too, like, other like recent books that came out. Commenting on the current event of, like, you know, social events. Like, you think of like Michael Knowles' Speechless, where he takes you through a history of, you know, political spectrums controlling language, controlling narratives by language, and the importance of language, right? Or our guy Dr. Joe Lindsay, right? With oh my God,
James Lindsay, yeah.
Yeah,
woke Marxism, queering the children. He's got a bunch of them.
But what was that? The one that I read that you had me read.
Cynical Theory.
Cynical theory, right?
Yeah, he wrote that with Helen Pluckrose. Yeah.
So I would say this is kind of like in that space, but only through the lens of pop culture and comedy like us. That's the kind of vibe
Yeah,
you get
it's
going into this book where he's talking about through his POV as somebody that's in the industry and uh, trying to sit and just like really like
he's trying to make sense
it's
of
both
it.
it's both a personal toll and like a professional toll on like what he's experienced with that, and it's very like, and the reason why I'm relating it to Speechless and Cynical Theories is because he gives he develops a scope and gives a timeline and just gives a lot of real life examples of why comedy is dying and how like
Yes.
this woke mind virus, to quote the great Dr. Gad Sad, right, the woke mind virus is this absolutely destroying everything that is good, everything that brings people together and laugh, right? Because that's the best part about a comedy is like the absurdity of something. When you have something absurd like that, it makes you sit back and then you laugh about it, and then we're
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about cathartic. It's great and it's healthy, right? And then like when you ruin that and you try to fucking contrive everything and like make everything based off of like a secular religion, like what this woke
kind
is
of.
like
Yeah.
bull crap, then it strips all the merits and all the point of what you're trying to accomplish with the comedy, right? Any type of performance, and then it gives you like what you have right here, which he succinctly like lays out with the, like for example, I really love how he rags on Seth Meyers. He's got like a whole chapter dedicated
Yes.
to ragging on Seth Meyers. I was like, fucking yeah. Like,
I mean,
hey,
he should. I
hey.
like listen. Actually, I'll say this. I was kind of disappointed. He gave Jon Stewart a complete pass, and I think that's bullshit. I want to say that bullshit. If you're gonna go after Seth Meyers, you should have started with the guy that started this shit. Hey everybody, it's Future Shaun here, just doing some light editing work today. And I gotta say, I think I might owe Mr. Perez a little bit of an apology here. I have seen him in the course of doing this editing and grabbing some clips and stuff. I've seen him be critical of a few things that Jon Stewart has said recently.
Thank you, Jon Stewart, for fighting to make sure that children get the gender-affirming health care that they need. Thanks to you, in the future, more children will transition. More children will be sterilized. More children will never be able to achieve orgasm as adults. And of course, there will be fewer gay people and breasts. We're just going to cut those out. You are an inspiration. I'm going to take it to the streets. No regrets.
And so I would like to say that he's definitely on the same page I am, and I think I might be being a little unfair here. So that's the power of being able to edit, I can go back and I can correct it right now. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Who's basically ruined punditry. Well,
Yeah.
that's hyperbole. That is hyperbole, but he is one of the architects of like, I am too cool to care, and I don't really have to make arguments. I just have to do a quip, and I've beat you. It's no longer about like who's actually right. It's like who's better at having a conversation, who's better at doing rhetoric, and it's really fucking lame. And Jon Stewart is like, I think he should be deported.
It's funny. It's like, the conversation where like when you're a kid, like you think Metallica is awesome and Megadeth is blah. Then you get older and you're like, Megadeth is fucking. That's where it's at.
That's
Metallica,
where it's at.
like, blah, right? It's just funny that Jon Stewart. You're like, oh yeah, Tucker Carlson, yeah, whatever, yeah, Jon Stewart. And then you get older, you're just like, fucking can't cuck the tuck, man. Tucker Carlson. Like,
yeah, because even if you go back and watch that with like having a more holistic view,
yeah,
that clip's not that bad.
No.
It actually, and it is. It's like, yeah, Jon Stewart just was acting like Jon Stewart, and he wants to make a point without actually saying anything.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. And he has the scapegoat of like, and it's just an opinion. I'm a comedian.
Yes,
blah, blah.
I am a comedian defense. Yes, the famous Jon Stewart. Well, I'm just a comedian, but he started a culture though, where those people, the actual journalists, quote unquote, people like Rachel Maddow, etc., wanted to be Jon Stewart and didn't want to be journalists anymore.
Right.
They want to be Jon Stewart. And there's actually a clip, Future Shaun, if you can find it real quick, of Jon Stewart talking to Rachel Maddow.
And after the teabag the White House before they teabag you sign goes on Fox News, we talk about what the whole idea of teabagging it is and how funny it is that they don't get what that word choice means. I sort of feel like we're doing the same thing, that you make, that, you know, essentially you exaggerate in order to be funny or in order to make a point, and everybody understands there's a little exaggeration.
That's true.
But there's a commitment, I think we both have a commitment to not to not lying.
And Rachel Maddow saying to Jon Stewart, but she's like, but yeah, aren't we kind of like in the same business? And to his credit, he looks at her and he says, no.
Right.
He's like, what are you talking about? I'm a comedian. You're supposed to be reporting the news. So at least he had a little bit of self-awareness, I'll say, but he would never cop to his like legacy. His legacy is pretty ugly in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I mean,
unlike the tuck. Yeah. but like
Jon Stewart cried when Obama got elected. Okay.
Yeah. That's But enough about Johns. There's so many Johns out there, man.
A lot of them.
But not too many Lou Perez.
Only one.
Perez. So like just getting back to the his book though, I appreciate Takedown. You already mentioned Apu, the Latinx stuff really cracked me up.
Dude.
Because of a mutual childhood buddy of ours, and I appreciate it, but I think he covered it was a short book. He covered a lot, and he went on there, and then and I think what you said earlier, I don't know if you hit record or not, but he didn't really go too deep onto anybody, but but he did cover it, and he did put context. So if you were looking at what piece of posterity or what can I reference to see where did stuff go wrong, I think this is good evidence. If you're interested in the subject, I think he makes a good case from 2015 to current date.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he does the thing where he tracks it back to Obama and realizing that comedians do not want to make fun of Obama. They want to be liked by him. Mm-hmm. They want to be cool. Obama's cool and hip. Suddenly, it became cool to be a statist.
Right.
You know what I mean? That became cool and hip. That's why all of these people that were 20 years old, people our age essentially, when Obama was elected, they all think being a cool hip counterculture person is to be a bootlicker. Right. They're all they all support the intelligence community. Mm-hmm. They act like they're beyond reproach. The courts, this is all very selective, by the way, because when it doesn't suit them, they attack the shit mercilessly, usually for erroneous reasons, not real reasons. Right. But yeah, and it's an interesting phenomenon. I do want to say though, he had a great fucking joke, and I'm going to spoil it for everybody. I'm going to spoil it. When he was talking about the Simpsons, and he was like, if only George Floyd had gotten to play Dr. Hibbert, he might still be alive today. Yeah. Because they did that across the board of The Simpsons. The Simpsons is the one that's so illustrative of the problem, because they were one of the first institutional things to kind of react to the moment, and they overcorrected in a way that was whoa, that's crazy. And then you had a bunch of other people, all these other actors. He named Slate, Jenny Slate, and some blonde lady. I can't remember her name. Yeah, she's an actress. Not Zoe Bell. Is it Zoe Bell? Maybe Zoe Bell. Somebody that's a lady. Veronica Mars, everybody. Okay. She also stepped down from a character because there was it was partial minority. Right. And they're well, we can't, that's disrespectful. And you're no, not really. Mm-hmm. This is especially with a cartoon and a voice, well, you're representing, the represent is the character, you're just providing it a voice. Right. Not that that's nothing, by the way, but unless there's something specifically ethnic that you're supposed to imbue with your voice, it shouldn't really matter. Yeah. Because the representation is actually there. I mean, is The Simpsons not a diverse group of characters?
Yeah, and
Is the Simpsons are not progressive enough for you? Like, are you
and everyone's
serious?
yellow, by the way. So calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down.
Not
Yeah.
a poo. He was
But dude,
brown.
like another funny part he had in like reference to the Simpsons is like it's that show that like I don't know anybody that still watches it, but yet it's still on, and like that's so true, right? It's
Yeah,
just
nobody likes the Simpsons after like the 12th season. It's a running gag. It's like a meme. Now it's just like they're just pulling a paycheck. They outsourced all the animation to like Korea. Serious.
yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Oh wow.
Another stuff I also liked, kind of like I said, I think the identity stuff was where like the real meat was, because he had a more of a direct connection to that stuff, so it was more of personal, I think, than some of the observations that are also in the book. Some of it is just kind of explaining a situation, what happened, and what was the fallout of it. Like the Rachel Dolezal becoming black was the ultimate ally move.
Or like Elliot Page, like what the world doesn't need is another white male.
Yes, exactly. But they should also be given credit for turning a lesbian straight. Yeah.
He's going on about Ellen DeGeneres. Like she walks into that studio audience every day and knows that she can have whatever mom she wants. That's power. And, like the whole bit about talking about like the just like he has a very comedic way of like breaking things down, where he's talking about like what is actually punching up, how can you punch up, and when he was talking about the Charlie Hebdo massacre and all that other stuff, he's like, all that did was radicalize me, and it wasn't the way you thought, right? But
oh man.
yeah, it was just, I don't know, man. It just, like, what I really liked about it is just like he did do a lot of research, and it was a very good timeline of this point in time, like you said, from the Obama years to current date, and just a lot of examples all over the place. And then and also too, like having followed him on like on Twitter as long as I have, like when he was talking about the still back on the Simpsons thought process, the Bumblebee and stuff, and like his gag. I remember that the internet clip he did with represent like
I remember, yeah.
Me and like what like it was that show was hilarious.
While most people see a hilarious, wacky character, I see a grotesque caricature. Bumblebee Man is a direct insult to my people. Hispanics that dress like bumblebees. Yes, I'm a 36-year-old man offended by a cartoon.
But like, it was good stuff.
Oh, no, and I loved, and because it was illustrating also the hypocrisy of the woke audience, because they were like, no, you don't understand. This one's okay because this is based on a character, so it's okay for them to have this hacky character,
right?
Because it's commenting on the hacky character,
right?
So it's okay for him to be a Mexican stereotype, yeah.
Yeah, the list of rules that you'll have to abide by, in order to not offend anybody and be on the right side of history at all times, forever. Like it's
one of these things.
That's why it sucks the life out of everything, because if you have too many parameters, you just want to make shit. You're not going to do anything.
And I think a big part of the subtext of the book is that social justice activists are often counterproductive and impossible to please. And it's because they have no long-term goals.
Yeah.
They only think about stopping something now.
Right.
Stop this.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you got to stop this now. Over usually things that don't really matter too much. Especially like when you're talking about the comedy world. Like, there was a time where it was kind of understood. There was an understanding, and I'm sure some comedians abuse this and whatnot, but that if you're on stage telling jokes, like, you're trying to make people laugh. And you might swing hard and you might miss. And that's okay. It's okay to miss. And you have to be given that freedom to do that. I don't really I've always kind of bristled at the idea that only comedians have this like distinction, like only they're allowed to be offensive.
Right.
Because there's plenty of some of the funniest people I've ever met, no offense, Luz Perez, are not comedians, not professional comedians. They're guys, they're blue collar dudes that I worked with or met outside of a bowling alley. Remember that night?
Yeah. Oh, I want to fuck her in the brown eye, but my eyes are blue.
My God, I'll never forget that. No
matter how hard
we got like a 3-hour stand-up routine.
We sure did.
I mean, that guy was probably just the worst, but We didn't have to know him.
Probably a terrible human being, but we didn't care, right? And that's the thing too. Like with like actors or athletes, whatever. I just want to like you for what you do. I don't want to know anything else about you. I don't know anything about you.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like stop watching interviews. Stop.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna say something, and it's gonna taint everything.
Yeah. What is it like? John Goodman said, don't meet your heroes. You always get disappointed or some shit like that. Like,
well, it's
and that
true.
was good. That was.
I mean,
good.
that's how he felt when he met Roseanne.
Yeah.
You know, he met Roseanne twice, and he said, "Listen, Rosie, like you are a crazy racist. I can't believe you've done this."
Oh, we all love Rosie. We all.
But there's also,
Roseanne.
I mean, like I wish. The only thing I would say though, and I would say I think this is indicative of libertarians, is that they really love talking about problems and then their libertarian philosophy, but very rarely do they ever give you solutions to these problems or what you can do to fight back. And now I don't know how that would fit in something like this because it's not prescriptive necessarily. There is stuff in there because there's
like the libertarianism is activism with that, right? But it's never right. It's always like the scapegoat. It's always these Mickey Mouse fucking platitudes of altruism, right? Or it's like, oh yeah, there'll be the free market with this, or free choice, or there's an ugly side of freedom. It's all. That's why it's never taken seriously because nobody says anything serious in the Libertarian Party. Like it's just.
I know, and I've read books. I've read books by anarchists.
Would you read The Fountain? Huh? Would you read The Fountain? Huh?
I have The Fountainhead, sir. The Fountainhead. Yeah? Yes, I've read The Fountainhead. I've read Atlas Shrugged. I love We the Living.
Well, fuck you. Nobody's read any of those books. Nobody's read Ayn Rand. They just say they do. Okay? Fuck off.
See, it's weird. I like Ayn Rand, but I don't like a lot of... I mean, because, just in full disclosure, Paul and I, for a very long time in our lives, considered ourselves kind of libertarian, right? I mean, we really did. But we didn't know anything about libertarians. Yeah. We kind of knew the Gadsden flag, and we knew of this... The what?
Ron Paul. We knew
Ron Paul. We knew Ron Paul. Still a big fan of Ron Paul.
So Liberty Report, baby. Check it out.
Yeah. And we didn't really know. I guess actually that's a great point. Thank you for bringing up Ron Paul because that is what I thought libertarianism was.
Yes.
Ron Paul, his son. It wasn't until I got older and started in Ayn Rand. But it wasn't until I got older and started kind of seeing what was out there, like the Reason magazine people and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, these guys are kind of idiots. And I know how that sounds, and I'm not trying to dog people. Everybody's got their own perspective. But I really do feel like my life has led me through the libertarian to conservative meme, where I feel like a lot of my apprehension about even wanting to call myself like a right-leaning person or conservative is because I didn't think it was cool.
Right.
Subconsciously, I just did not want to admit that that's how I felt about the world.
Right.
And I wanted an out because libertarianism, like it's very popular in some cities and stuff. If you're like a cool, hip, trendy, you're like a Greg Gutfeld type. You're like one of these cool, hip New Yorker libertarian dudes, Nick Gillespie in his jacket.
Oh, the finest leather. The
finest leather.
No, but it's hard to argue or disagree or not appreciate the idea of libertarianism, right? It's
of
hard.
Course.
Like at the end of the day, like everybody can rally behind that, but when it comes to executing, right? Because like what really got me off that train is getting like because I've been like registered libertarian for over 15 years. And are
you actually registered as libertarian and not independent?
Yeah, I'm registered as a libertarian where I live now, and I got involved with the state's Libertarian Party.
I remember.
And and it gets silly, man. It gets silly.
Well, you could tell people you went to a meeting and they didn't. All they talked about was legalizing marijuana and then having a free screening of Reefer Madness and raising money. Yeah, and you went to several meetings, and that was all they talked about.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay. So if weed's legal, then like, okay, then what?
Then what, guys? And then freedom.
No, but right. But just like every party's got their fringe thing. Like we should ban getting a driver's license. That's not this or blah blah. It's just like Oh my God.
Hey,
Dude,
listen,
we-
you
we
leave the
can't-
sovereign citizens out of this,
leave,
okay?
leave it out of it. Leave it
Listen,
out.
listen, we're under maritime law. I don't know what you're talking about, pal.
We're about to be under martial law. Thank God we're not in New York City. Am I right? Am I
Hell
right?
yeah. Look out, Lou.
Look out, Lou. Look out,
I know.
Lou.
Well, he doesn't live in the city. He lives in the sticks, as he talked about.
Lives in the sticks, and I hope that house project is
What?
coming well. One thing I did want to talk about is that I love how he went after Dr. Ibram Kennedy. Like,
Oh, Ibram X. Kendi, yes,
That dude,
the astute scholar.
oh God, that is just like you want to talk about like a cringe factory too. And one cringe factory meeting, going to Oz with other one, it was like Matt Walsh, not UCB Matt Walsh, but Daily Wire Matt Walsh.
Yes.
They were having like a brouhaha and like X, and like, come on, let's go debate them. And I would pay to see that. If that was a pay-per-view event, I would pay.
I would go. I would go physically to the place. I'd be so
Mhm.
excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would go there with my yellow "What is woman" T-shirt. I'd be like, yeah, Walsh,
Come on,
get
dude.
'em, get 'em."
Dude. Yeah, we rented your documentary and then we played it for everybody for free while we talked over
Whoa,
it.
no,
Free.
no,
Hey,
no, no, no,
listen. Listen. Hey, no, that's fair use. Listen, if you take an hour and 30-minute documentary and you make it into a 4-hour live stream, I'm sorry, that's fair use.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in court, it would probably pass muster, but not in the terms of service. That's why it's only on Odyssey.
Well, hey, good old Odyssey. Does that get discontinued, or is that still going?
I think it's still there. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember it was supposed to end. Whatever. Yeah.
I think it might be in April that it's supposed to. Something's supposed to
December.
happen.
It was supposed to happen at the end of the year. But,
Or was it? Okay.
yeah. But anyways, yeah. To Odyssey.
Oh no! What I wanted to say is because speaking of just like him talking about like his family and like we just mentioned, like while he's writing this, he made some personal sacrifices to protect his family and to try to enrich his life in a different way. Like I give him all the credit in the world to being open to just living life differently.
Yeah.
After you've done something for so long, trying to pursue the career that he's pursued. Having the like kind of the wherewithal or the not be self-conscious enough to be like, oh, we got to get out of here. And so there's actually a lot in the book, kind of in the subtext. It's not like really, like we said, it's not a preachy book. He's not proselytizing really.
Right.
But it's there. Like he really cares about family values and he really cares what his kids are around and he really cares about the world that his kids are going to grow up in. And that's something as a father of young kids myself, I connect with like very deeply. About I don't have the luxury of like not giving a shit anymore, which is a bummer sometimes.
Yeah, you're not Seth Rogen,
No, I can't be Seth Rogen.
Right.
Unfortunately. Oh, dude, don't you think that's cool? I'm like, yeah, it's cool for like a weekend. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. Maybe actually, well, you had kids way younger than I did, so I got to actually live a little bit of a dink lifestyle for when I met my wife for like. What, 4 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to be dinks.
Mm-hmm. No. I turned 24. 2 months later, my first kid came into this world. 14 years later, I don't know. He's still
So is the Seth Rogen lifestyle more attractive to you because you didn't get to like do that enough?
No, it's not. And that's not even me like talking shit or trying to like,
No,
validate
I don't think so.
my own life, but it's just not. I don't think you can fully like, not saying that I self-actualized or like I am at peace with everything, but there's just a part of you that doesn't activate until you have children.
I agree.
You don't like.
You're not a full person.
Exactly. The world hits you in a different way when you have children, especially. And if there's any way to choose what you're going to have, definitely get a boy because like I have 2 girls and all they do is fucking roast me. They roast me. They roast me.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. All they do is roast me. But anyways,
lots to roast you about.
It's very fulfilling. It sucks the life out of you, but it's very fulfilling, and that's what life should be all about. But I'll get off that horse.
Yes, generally because when people that don't have kids, they think they're making a giant sacrifice. Like they kind of perceive it that way instead of just realizing like, no, you're just entering the next phase of your life. You're just growing up a little bit. Like you're not always going to want to do what you did when you were 25 and having kids and getting married and kind of building a life opens up the world in a way that you never knew existed. You have reasons to do things you never would have done before, etc. And I like that Lou here acknowledges that, and that's part of his his personality. It's part of his fabric. It's part of why he takes the things that he takes seriously. I mean, at the end of the day, essentially, when we're talking about like comedy and what's happened to comedy, it's a free speech thing. In a lot of, it's a censorship thing in a lot of ways. And you know, we don't want to let the crazies take over things like this. We don't, and they have. Not entirely. I mean, I'm not saying entirely, and the pendulum is swinging back the other way. At this point, I saw this book because I didn't know when this book came out. When you sent it to me, or when you asked, when we talked about reading it, and when I was listening to it, I thought it was like a newer book, but it came out in 2022, which made a little bit more sense because I was like, I thought maybe it came out in like the end of 2023 or something like that. It was a little bit newer, right? And I was like, because when I was listening to it, I'm like, well, you're kind of like 2 years too late for this. This conversation has already kind of been had, but since this came out a year ago, I'll give him a pass. But it shows you how slow these kinds of things move in like these older formats,
right?
Which is both a good thing and a bad thing because it gives you time to actually kind of reflect on it, take it in before reacting to something. So that's always a positive thing. But also at the same time, when you kind of miss your moment, like you're not going to have the impact.
Right.
Like if this book came out in 2020, it's a much different, it would hit a lot differently. Or 2021. Say it came out in 2021. It would hit probably a little bit harder if I read it in 2021.
Especially this chapter, Pandemic Daddy, you know? So like that would have been definitely more like edgy at that time, right? But again, like you're saying, like you let the topic breathe. Everyone had to process 2020 to 2021, through their own, and now like hearing it, like it was refreshing. And just like real quick back on like the children bit when he's talking about keep the he had this beautiful chapter in there where he's talking about during the lockdowns, and then walking through New York, even parks are like shut down, and then seeing like this older lady like reading this book, and it was just like some like woke book. He's like, no, don't let this be the last book you read.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, let This Joke Isn't Funny be the last book you read before you die. But it just in the theme of like children and the beauty it gives you, it makes you like a better person. When he was talking about letting this this elderly stranger feel his son's feet, and like
it's a humanizing moment. It's a connection.
It was like it was a really beautiful story, like a little insight what he had, and like what kind of joy you get, but like let him feel his feet, and if you don't have that, if you have the kid like seeing like little infant feet, like what it just makes you smile. You have that association, and it was just like what joy he just brought that person, and it was so impactful that he decided to incorporate it in his own book as well. So because it's there to remind you that even throughout the craziness, like there are still normal people out there, and that's actually what I would say is a good thing about books like this. Yes,
because we, Big Paul and I read this, we agree with everything. You're speaking to the choir, but it's a good thing to be reminded that you're not alone, that you're not the only one, that you're not the only one that feels this way or has these feelings or has had these thoughts. Like that is so fucking important, especially nowadays when people are constantly browbeaten into accepting whatever the current thing is, whatever the current narrative is, and you're not allowed to deviate. Like, it's a very weird time for that. And people really have to embolden themselves and kind of let go of some of the fear. Like let go, because strength in numbers. They are a small niche community, but they are unified. People like us, we're not as unified because we're a little bit more individualistic thinking. Like we come from a libertarian-esque background, right?
Man, it's like herding cats. You can't do it.
So we're kind of a little bit more individualistic thinking. We don't reach out as much. We don't have those. We don't think about that stuff enough sometimes. We do need community, and we do need people that agree with our vision of the future in the world. Right.
Right.
And you're not going to know who those people are unless they have a cool T-shirt like me, or which is just a old Metal Gear Solid T-shirt. or if you say it out loud, we have a very small audience over here on Zoobox, but we've always thought, or at least I've always thought, I'll speak for myself, I've always thought it's very important sometimes, even though I know I'm not going to get a ton of views or whatever, I just want the video out there. I just want these thoughts out there.
Yeah.
And people do find them sometimes, like the videos I made like 2 years ago. Somebody will leave a comment and be like, oh, that was really awesome. I'm glad to know that there's somebody that thinks like this and has fun and blah, blah, blah,
Sure.
So if it's just for that one, Paul and I used to be in a band, and one of our rules as being a band is like when you're in a small town and, there's not a lot of people there. So we're always just like, well, not a small town, but we were a small band rather. Not a lot of people there. We always told each other and our other bandmates that like, it doesn't matter if it's one person or 1,000, like you got to give the same show. Right.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of people we are. And it's nice that other people are kind of like that. Cause sometimes, like I said, you just don't know that other people exist like you unless they're out there,
Exactly. And I know the theme tonight is about like Lou Perez, but on that note of just getting that thought out there, your intellectual takedowns of the death cult that is referred to as antinatalism, the stuff that you put out there is, I think that's and I know I'm like your best friend, your childhood friend and everything, but like I think that's so important, like all those takedowns you do on antinatalism, the counterpoint, because you'll have people that are chronically online that are falling into this nihilistic fucking doomer like death trap, and then to see somebody blatantly and brazenly as you do call this out and just take it home into like what matters, life matters, right? And so
and thank God thank God those people are so stupid, because it's so easy, because I'm not super, I'm not the smartest dude in the world, so it's very easy for me to intellectually dominate them.
For all the people that give you hate comments on there, I hope that there's is equal, or even if there's half, or even if there's just one person that got that was a positive takeaway for, and that's what that was. That's what that's for. That's what that was about.
Exactly, 100%. And that's honestly, as far as Big Paul's talking about the philosophy of antinatalism, and there's not a lot of people that directly talk about antinatalism in the negative. Most people that make antinatalism content are antinatalists. So you just got to have somebody out there, like Paul is saying, like if these people are terminally online, etc., they're always looking for content, just stumble across it. Maybe I'll accidentally put something in somebody's brain. And that's really all I hope for with stuff like that. But, and I think that's kind of in the same way. I think Lou Perez kind of joins in that spirit,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So I have a lot of respect for him in the sense of like, he does speak his mind and he does put himself out there. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of things I would disagree with him about, but like in essence and spirit, like he's like a partner in that.
He had this bit in the book where he's like, I made sure a long time ago that I'll never be hireable. I am committed to this comedy bit. Like,
actually, I was talking.
I love that. I love that so much.
I was talking to one of our friends. And they're like, dude, you should like run. You start thinking about like maybe like running for like local office or something. He's like, you're pretty well spoken and you generally kind of know what you're talking about. And I think you could fool some people. And I was like, dude, my internet presence kind of makes that impossible, because I know nobody watches it now. But if I were to run for office, people would watch it in 10-second clips of me like saying faggot or something.
It could be a little, but you know what? It's a new era, man. It's a new era.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'll just be based. I'll just be the base guy. I'm like, no, I'm based, dude. I don't care. I honestly, it's just like I always said, even about like when I first started doing Zoobox, I was like, you never talk, because I used to do it with my brothers, and I'd be like, if anybody contacts you for any reason about anything, you do not say a fucking word, and we are never apologizing for anything, ever. Ever. I don't care if we're wrong.
The first rule of Zoobox is you commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit. Just do it. Just do the bit.
Just do it. Oh my god! But no, dude. Like overall, I think just check it out. If you're a fan of just comedy, like if you're just a fan of comedy and you feel like you're in the camp that it's been tainted. Everything's been tamed, neutered, and like like he gives a nice, like as we're just talking about, like assurance, like you to use the woke term, you are heard, you are seen. Like it's not just you. Like it's actually as a wholesale has been degraded. It's been degraded like to like orders of magnitude, right? With like cultural issues and social pressures, right? It's not there, but if you look hard enough and if you want it's there. People are still trying and people are still doing it, and then just keep it going. And like the other theme of the night too, like the strength in numbers. Fuck these people.
No,
Fuck these
seriously, fuck these people.
like it doesn't matter if you like it, like like it, share it, and repost it, all that good stuff, because that's what matters, and it's a net positive for humanity. Because like you can't take yourself seriously, and comedy is such, people want to like overlook it, but it's so good for the social construct, just for being alive. Like you need to laugh. And he
Yeah.
has a whole chapter on that with the live, laugh, love.
Yes.
Which is like a nice, like endearing chapter, because he keeps making like jokes throughout the book that he his house is being renovated, so he's with his in-laws, and they have all this live, laugh, love shit in there, and so like
Yep.
it gets a little, but like it's good. So I'd recommend anybody that's like kind of, you don't even have to be a lip card. You don't even have to be a lip card to like it.
I think the best audience for this is people on the fence, and that people don't really know what they think. Like they don't think about this stuff as much as like say you or I might think about cultural issues or something like that, or even just, and this is specifically in comedy, but it has broader implications.
Right.
And I think that like it's good for people like that. Like I said, for us, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we agree with you. Like nothing here is super revelatory for us. It's well written and it's funny and it's enjoyable to listen to because we listen to it.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about the book. I'm like, I don't know what we talk about. Like, I generally agree with everything in it, and then
but it's kind of like what we were talking about just a few moments ago. It's like you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
This book is out there. We've read it. You can read it too.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, Lou Perez. Follow Paul on X.
Yeah, do that, please.
I mean, dude, this is basically an hour of work. I mean, what are we doing this for free?
Lou Perez.
This channel is not monetizable, Lou.
Yeah.
I've tried. They won't tell me what things I'm supposed to delete.
You can't monetize on this, but I will make banger shorts for you. I'll make banger shorts.
You would too.
We'll fill it out. We'll have it out, man.
Lou,
Lou, I'm with you, brother. If he ever watches that, he'll know what this means. He'll know what that means.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would do. I would give it to people that kind of just aren't maybe on the ball with this stuff. Like this, it would be a good Christmas gift, a good birthday present. Hey, maybe just a good hey, I like you. Here you go. Check this book out.
Check it out.
I can't wait to listen to this with my son. Okay, he's 6 years old. He loves Godzilla, but pretty soon he's gonna love Lou Perez. Everybody.
Yeah. Well, to balance out all the Lou love, at the end of the day, I chuckled to myself thinking about like, I like this, and like internally, like I'm fanboying over like what he does, but he's another fucking New York City hipster listening to the fucking Smiths, So that was
yeah. Oh yeah. Paul sent me that. You sent me that short, and I was like, oh, he's got deep pockets. He's got a Morrissey cut on here. Yeah, you can't trust them. They're either killers, they're either assassins, or New York hipster comedians. The only people that listen to the Smiths now. My wife has like an irrational hatred of the Smiths. So, and because I'm a natural contrarian, I have to be like, they're fine.
Actually, they're pretty great. They're pretty great.
I'm like, this guy's out here pouring his soul out. I'm like, how can you, like, because we were listening to that, like, somebody let me get what I want. And I was like, you don't think that's not a beautiful song to you? She's like, no.
No.
It's like,
it wasn't. Evidently, it was not. Jeez.
It's like, you're a jerk. Leave Morrissey alone. Actually, it's a great primer for this, everybody. Just to cap this off. If you're still on the fence, if we have not sold this book to you, Lou, we're trying so fucking hard.
Trying so hard.
Check out. He did a debate with Michael Ian Black.
I do think that Michael Michael raises some good points that a lot of the people who get trotted out as examples of, where wokeness has killed comedy or stopped careers, end up doing, pretty well. Is that a point against your argument?
Well, I mean, there are people who survive assassination attempts.
Moderated by the one and only Nick Gillespie, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Little starfucker, that guy. Anyways, so they did that debate. If you like that debate, this is a good entry point. They had a debate about whether or not wokeness is killing comedy, which is appropriate. He touches on a lot of the kind of ideas that he touches on in this book, but he gets to do it in a conversational way with Michael Ian Black, who was actually a very good debate partner. And he was really funny. I didn't agree with Michael Ian Black. He's definitely more in the censorious lane, but doesn't think that he is, which I find there's like a cognitive dissonance there that's like odd.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great primer for this book. And if you like that debate, this book is 100% worth your time because you're going to get kind of more of that perspective, more of that humor, etc.
Right.
It's well worth your time if this at all interests you. That's what I would say.
Link it in the description.
I will, actually. I'm going to put it in the comment. There'll be one comment on this video, and it's going to be the link to that debate. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, you want to follow me and Big Paul, all the information will be in the description. You can follow us on X, Lou. You can follow us on X. You can follow us on Instagram. We got a Facebook page. I'm trying to be better and more consistent with posting stuff over there, stealing memes and stuff like everybody else. So go check that stuff out. But yeah, thanks, Paul. Thank you for recommending this too, by the way, because it's not something that I would have gravitated. I just wouldn't have read this. Yeah. Like I never in a million years would have. Like, and it's not because of any reason other than I very rarely read books like this. I don't read a lot of like these kinds of like essay type books, and maybe I should. Last time I think I read anything like this was a collection of essays by Chuck Klosterman. Yeah. He actually kind of reminds me of a little bit. But anyways, thank you.
No, thank you, man. It's always a blast, man. That's the best part of reading this. If I know you're going to read it too and getting to talk about it.
To talk about it. Hell yeah, buddy. All right, everybody. You guys have the best day, night, weekend, wherever you're at. You have the best one ever. Adios.
It's too close to home and it's too near the bone. Too close to home and it's too near the bone. More than you.